You've probably heard it all before. Just do it. Stop waiting for motivation. Get off your butt. But what if I told you that those things are actually making it harder to beat procrastination? Every single day, millions of people waste hours they'll never get back. The problem isn't laziness, it's the system they're using to get things done. It's broken and no one's talking about it. You don't have a willpower problem, you have a strategy problem. And no matter how hard you try to just push through, it's not going to work long term. Now, you're probably wondering, what strategy is he talking about? And don't worry, I'm going to reveal exactly how I turned my procrastination around for good. But first, let's dig into why you keep falling back into the same trap over and over. If you're like most people, you probably feel overwhelmed with all the advice out there and tired of trying to figure out which method actually works. I get it, but stick around, and I promise you'll walk away with something that will actually help you stop procrastinating once and for all. Procrastination isn't just about being lazy, it's a cycle. You put something off, feel guilty about it, promise yourself you'll do better tomorrow, and then repeat the same pattern. The worst part? The longer you wait, the harder it gets to start. Does that sound familiar? Most people think the solution is more motivation. They wait for the perfect moment, the right mindset, or that magical burst of energy. But here's the truth. Motivation is crap. If you're depending on it, you're already setting yourself up to fail. The real problem isn't when you start, it's how you start. You don't need more discipline or motivation, you need a system that makes procrastination impossible. And once you change the way you approach your tasks, everything else falls into place. Alright, so if motivation isn't the answer, what is? The trick isn't about forcing yourself to work, it's about making it easier to start. And that all comes down to one thing: momentum. Think about a parked car. If it's sitting still, it takes a ton of effort to get it moving, but once it's rolling, it barely takes a push to keep going. Procrastination works in the same way. The hardest part isn't the work, it's getting started. I used to sit at my desk, staring at a blank screen, telling myself I'd start in 5 minutes, but 5 minutes turned into an hour, then a day, until I was rushing last minute, stressed out, and disappointed in myself. Then I found something called the 2-minute rule, and it changed everything. Instead of telling yourself you need to finish a task, commit to starting it for just 2 minutes. That's it. Open the document, write the first sentence, do one push-up. Once you begin, your brain shifts from resistance to momentum, and you'll probably just keep going. If you struggle to work out, don't start by committing to an hour at the gym. Start by putting on your shoes. If writing feels impossible, open a blank document. The smaller the first step, the less friction you'll feel. Your brain loves rewards, so use that to your advantage. Pair your task with something enjoyable, like listening to music while working, or rewarding yourself with a coffee break after 20 minutes of focus. This rewires your brain to want to start instead of dreading it. But if that doesn't help you start, there's an even easier method: Mel Robbins' 5-second rule. The moment you feel yourself hesitating, whether it's starting an assignment, getting out of bed, or responding to an important email, count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then immediately take action. I know that sounds stupid, but let me explain why it works. The moment you hesitate, your brain starts searching for reasons not to act, and it usually takes just over 5 seconds for it to come up with an excuse. But by counting down, you cut off that internal debate before it gains momentum. Also, have you ever noticed how a countdown automatically creates urgency? It's the same reason rocket launches, game starts, and even childhood races use them. When you hear 3, 2, 1, go! Your brain instinctively prepares for the movement. The 5-second rule uses this built-in response to shift you from hesitation to action instantly. The countdown tricks your mind into treating action like a reflex instead of something that requires motivation. But sometimes procrastination isn't about getting started. It's about staying on task once you do. You sit down to work, but after a few minutes, your mind drifts. You check your phone, open a new tab, or suddenly remember that you need to clean your entire kitchen. That's where the Pomodoro technique comes in, and here's how it works. Pick a task, set a 25-minute timer, take a 5-minute break. Repeat the cycle 4 times. After 4 rounds, take a longer 15 to 30-minute break to recharge. This structure prevents burnout, keeps your mind fresh, and maximizes productivity without making you feel overwhelmed. One of the biggest reasons we procrastinate is because a task feels too big. If you sit down thinking, I have to write this 3,000-word report, or I need to study for 6 hours, your brain immediately resists. But anyone can focus for just 25 minutes. By breaking work into small, time-limited sprints, your brain stops panicking about how long something will take and simply just gets started. Think about when you're in the last few minutes of a workout. You push harder because you know you're almost done. The same psychology applies to focus. When your brain knows a break is coming soon, it works more efficiently because it doesn't feel like it has to maintain effort forever. But here's something that self-improvement motivation gurus won't tell you. Burnout is real. You can work too hard, and if you do, the consequences are brutal. Your brain has a limited attention span. If you try to focus for too long, your productivity actually decreases because your brain gets fatigued. The Pomodoro technique prevents burnout by giving your mind scheduled recovery time. Instead of pushing until exhaustion, you cycle between intense focus and rest, keeping your energy levels high. But sometimes we don't procrastinate because of how big the task is. Sometimes we just really don't want to do the work. I get it. Playing Fortnite or watching TikTok sounds a lot more fun than whenever you're procrastinating, whether it's folding laundry, answering emails, or studying for an exam. But there's a reason for that. Our brain resists long, boring tasks because it doesn't see an immediate reward. That's where temptation bundling comes in. It's a clever way to hack your brain's reward system by pairing something you have to do with something that you want to do. Instead of forcing yourself through a dull task with sheer willpower, you make it enjoyable by linking it with a pleasurable activity. The key is to only allow yourself to enjoy a specific reward while doing the task you usually avoid. For example, drinking your favorite coffee or tea, but only when tackling a work project you've been putting off. Or sitting in a cozy chair, but only while studying or working on an important task. Instead of thinking, ugh, I have to do this boring task, your brain shifts to, I get to enjoy my favorite coffee while working on this. Your brain is wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. When you bundle a fun activity with a boring task, you trick your brain into seeing the task as something positive instead of something to avoid. We've covered 4 powerful strategies to break through procrastination. Let's take things a step further. Procrastination isn't just about being lazy. It's a constant battle between 2 parts of your brain. On one side, you have the limbic system, which is wired for instant gratification and avoids anything uncomfortable. On the other, there's the prefrontal cortex, the logical, goal-oriented part of your brain that knows you should be working. Whenever you hesitate on a task, your limbic system instinctively pulls you toward short-term pleasures, like scrolling your phone while your prefrontal cortex tries to keep you focused. The problem is that the limbic system is much stronger and acts faster than your rational brain. That's why willpower and motivation alone don't work. Your brain will always take the path of least resistance, unless you outsmart it. So, how do you stop this cycle? Implementation intentions, which is just a fancy way of saying make if-then rules. Instead of saying, I'll try to go to the gym tomorrow, reframe it as a direct action. If it's 6 a.m., then I'm putting on my workout shoes. If I feel like procrastinating, then I'll use the 5-second rule. By doing this, you remove decision fatigue and eliminate hesitation before it starts. Your brain no longer wastes energy debating whether to act, it just follows the pre-programmed rule. Over time, this rewires your brain to respond automatically to tasks, making productivity a habit instead of a struggle. But what if I told you that procrastination isn't always a bad thing? In fact, some of the world's most successful people use procrastination to their advantage. Now wait a second, I thought this whole video was about avoiding procrastination, and now you're saying it can help? Yes, I am, and let me explain. The key is understanding why we procrastinate and using that knowledge to create a system that works with your brain instead of against it. Ever notice how you finish assignments right before the deadline? That's Parkinson's law in action. When time is short, your brain shifts into hyper-focus mode, blocking distractions and working efficiently. To make Parkinson's law work for you, try setting fake deadlines that are much earlier than the actual due date. If you struggle to stick to these deadlines, use a commitment device, like publicly announcing your deadline to a friend or putting money on the line. There are even apps out there like StickK or BeMinder that let you bet money on your goals, and if you miss the deadline, you lose your money. It's pretty wild, but it works. Instead of letting procrastination control you, turn it into a tool for high-efficiency work. By shortening your available time and adding stakes, you can trick your brain into peak performance mode without waiting for that last-minute rush. Before you leave, I need your help. 1 subscribe funds the next video. Your support helps me continue bringing you these tips to take your life to the next level. If you're ready to make today count, hit that subscribe button and join this journey to crushing your goals. I love you guys. Peace.